is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on The Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Shine and TGIF. We are at Friday already. It's so crazy, but ever since I started doing the morning report, it feels as though every day just flies by so quickly just because everything is just so structured. I don't know if that's the same for you guys, but I love it. Like knowing exactly what I'm going to be doing every single weekday at like X o'clock, So shout out to you guys for that. It is absolutely amazing. Good morning, GB. Boss Lady is back in the building. Nice to see you back. Boop, boop, boop. Hello, hello, hello. Houston Rose, Jaleesa, Jessica, Venetia, Cynthia, Monique, Stephanie, Ramster, Saima, ACSW, Linda, and everybody else who is watching us. It is so nice to have you guys. We've got another great show lined up for you today. Let me pull up the photo so that we can have a little bit of a preview of what we're going to be talking about in today's morning report, shall we? So we've got Kandi Burruss being sued for over $100,000. Post Malone has dumped his fiancee and replaced her with a new girl in a matter of a couple of months. And do you guys remember how yesterday I promised you guys a bonus episode about Jenelle? Nobody reminded me. I completely forgot and zoned out like after we did the Mackenzie Standifer story and signed out. And as soon as I signed out, I sat there like, I kind of sworn I was forgetting something. And as I was shutting down like my tabs and stuff, I saw that and I said, oh my God, you know what? Let's go ahead and save it for tomorrow. It's not like a huge story or anything like that, but I do know that it's the type of thing that you guys are typically interested in. So don't worry, we will be talking about it. And crème brûlée, if you're here again today, FYI, the story that you were telling me to check out yesterday about Jurnee Smollett, we'll be talking about that as well, okay? So stay tuned. Buenos dias, Erica. Or should I say Erika? Good morning, Cynthia, Theo, Tia, Diana. So nice to have you all here. And IKEA as well. So guys, why don't we get started then? And by the way, there isn't that much to like cover today. So it's going to be, I think, a little bit shorter of a report. So just a heads up on that. Are you guys Post Malone fans? I thought that he had a huge year in 2024. So I'm not super familiar with his music. I don't know of any of his own. I think he had a song called like Rockstar or something like that. Like that's the only solo Post Malone song I know. However, as a tried and true Beyonce stan, I mainly know him as the featuring artist in her song Levi's Jeans, which happens to be one of my favorite songs off of Cowboy Carter, right alongside 16 Carriages, right? And I liked him in that. And I loved when he performed at the Beyonce Bowl as well. And I'm hoping that he's going to pop up here in Paris for the concert that I will be attending, right? So I like him from what I've seen of him. And people have always, and I know he did a song with Taylor Swift as well, something about touch me when your boys play Grand Theft Auto, something like that. So people always say that this is a really, really nice, really, really polite man. So imagine my surprise when I am minding his own business on TMZ and I run into this story about how he was spotted at some sort of a bar with a new girl that is not his fiance. Post Malone's fiance recently gave birth to their first child together. And now he's broken up with her. So to me, it's like, okay, whatever. You guys break up, no big deal. But the fact that he replaced her and he's out in public with the new girl in a matter of just a couple months after the breakup, and like the kid is still super, like I would be crashing out. I would have, if this video came across my own TikTok timeline and I was his girl and it was just in time, I would be putting on my clothes, having someone watch the kid and running and driving off to the bar so I can confront him. Because what the hell? That is so rude. And he knows he's a high profile person right now, right? especially since being discovered by Beyonce. Joking. But he knows he's a high profile person. So to just do that, and I imagine that she's still dealing with a lot of postpartum hormones and stuff. It felt deliberate. And I don't like that. I really don't. Nikia. Am I pronouncing it right? Nikia. Nice to have you here, Nikia. Good morning. And I'm so happy, GB. Ali's in the building. That bid is here. Kahara is here. Cynthia's here. Tadisha. Wow, you guys are starting to flow in. That's amazing. So I want to see what y'all have to say. Cynthia likes Post Malone, like, right? So did I. He seemed like a really nice guy, but I don't like when people treat women this way, like disposable and stuff. So for now, like, he's got like a little tick in the naughty box for me, you know, based off of this behavior. I'm really, really quite surprised by that. Steph likes Post Malone. He has a lot of music of a lot of range. You know, I got to check. Well, you know what? Now, after what he did to his fiance, I don't know if I want to check him out anymore, right? I don't know. Typical behavior, apparently, too. Not cool, Post Malone. Listen, I hope whatever he's got. And by the way, the new girl's name is Christy Lee. I hope that things work out, like, you know, for him in general. I don't know if they'll necessarily work out with this girl or not. It's still very new, and he's still hot off of a breakup. Perhaps this isn't even a girlfriend. Perhaps this is just like a jump off hookup situation, right? I don't know. But yeah, anyway, listen, do not embarrass yourself right now. It's going to ruin the tour, the world tour. And I can't have that for my girl. I can't. Absolutely not. Good morning, Caroline, Farah. Okay. And thank you, Nikia. That's so nice. And hi, J.I. So yeah, Jaleesa, he had a fiance and a baby. And it was all kept so well under wraps. I don't know how he managed to do it. I don't think we even know the name of his child. We've never even seen his child. All I know is that it's a girl. And you know what? Kudos to him for that, because I think that is super duper important, right? To maintain the privacy of your children versus trying to brand them as, like, you know, the next generation of celebrities and stuff. Let them breathe, let them rest. And J.I. says Post has always been questionable. He's a culture vulture who used the rap genre to become a pop star. And didn't he use the pop star to subsequently become some sort of a country star? Because I think that's where he's headed right now, right? Country star. Hey, Kristen, nice to see you. Welcome. I was going to mention the Traders finale and reunion, but forgot. Yeah, I don't have it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I haven't seen Traders, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. Apparently, it's like one of the best shows out there on television. Theo and everybody else watching, or if you're part of my playback posse, who's your favorite, like, star on the Traders? I know a lot of people do not like Tom Sandoval, post the Scandoval. However, I have heard that he was very entertaining on the show. I did hear that Iman was another one who was really entertaining. And I'm talking about this season, by the way, not like, you know, of all time, by the way. So yeah, I'm really, really curious about that. And I'm jealous of all of you guys who are able to go ahead and watch it, right? Yeah, I have no idea what happened, but I'm really, really curious. It's so damn sad. And I agree with you, Gwen. Like, come on, y'all, please start sending better. What is this? What is going on? And hi, Lynn. Thank you so much for your support. So Theo really Ali likes the host. Theo likes Gabby on the Traders, and Sandoval was hilarious this season. Robin, yeah, that was a good one. I did hear that Robin was another really, really good character this season, which is rather surprising because on RHOP, a lot of fans do not like her and they find her to be boring and forgettable and stuff. But apparently she was really, really good on that show. So there's that. Ali really likes Ciara as well. And I'm going to check him out stuff. All I know is him from Levi's Jeans and that song with Taylor Swift, whose name escapes me. And good morning to you too, Ashley. Now, we do have another Real Housewives story. Yesterday, we did 2 back-to-back, and I think we're about to have the same thing going on today. So Kandi Burruss, formerly of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. One thing I've always loved about her is just her, first of all, her positivity. Second of all, it's how she's always like, she's not a competition person, you know, like there are people who feel competitive with everybody. Even if you're doing something completely different, they do not want you to get any kind of shine. Kandi is not that type of person. Kandi not only wants you to win and to get your shine, she will do whatever she can with her own resources to help you get there. And we've seen her do that with multiple co-stars on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? And another thing I love about her is her entrepreneurial spirit. She's got 2 restaurants. She's on her 2nd or 3rd play. She's got several other businesses and investments and stuff. And I really, really love that about her. And so I'm kind of saddened by this news that I'm hearing about about her restaurant, Blaze Steak and Seafood. She is currently being sued by the landlord for the restaurant for over $150,000 in unpaid rent for that restaurant. The Montego Pacific Inc. is the name of the holding company that she's supposed to be paying rent to. They filed a lawsuit in Fulton County State Court claiming that Blaze Steak and Seafood owes $154,139 in back rent, along with an additional $56,495 for repairs and overhead fees, with interest accruing at $12,083 per month until the debt is settled. Oh, Lord. Despite a rocky history that includes temporary closure due to health violations, do you guys remember that at this restaurant back in 2021? Kandi has remained silent about this, so the outlets have reached out to her to see what's going on here, if she can provide any kind of statement about what's happening with the rent. And so far, she and her team have not responded to that at all. And I want to know what y'all think about it. So I do really, really like Kandi Burruss and her positivity and everything like that, and her ambition and her community mindset. So it has always been rather sad to me, the way that people go out of their way to try and speak down about her restaurants and almost wish ill on the success of her restaurants. So when I heard this story, I was particularly disappointed for Kandi because, I didn't see it for her, right? Like, this is not something that I would have envisioned for her. I thought that she was somebody who, crosses their T's, dots their I's, and is always on time. And just as a Kandi fan and how I feel like I perceive her as being as a person, I wonder if there's a good explanation for all of this. Do you guys think that it's going to come out that perhaps there are problems with the building, and so she has been asking the landlord to fix them, but the landlord hasn't fixed them? Or do you think that she's just not trying to pay her bills? I don't know what it could be, but I see her as a good person. I do not see her as a grifter. So I'm curious about what you guys in particular think. So Kristen says that Kandi was always my fave. She seems so real and genuine. And I completely agree. I like that Kandi's friends with everybody. Exactly. She's got such good relationships with everybody. So what is this? What could it be? What could it be? What happened, right? Tadisha was shocked that Kandi owes that much money for her restaurant. And Unique says that Todd is the reason for the lawsuit. Kandi would have paid the rent. Do you think this is a scheme that Todd set up to come with Kandi with the BS? Is that what you're saying? And you know what? And I'm wondering, and that's the thing about rental payments and stuff like that, is that, maybe your cash flow or whatever is off for 1 month, and then it turns to 2 months, it turns to 3, and then the interest bills and bills and bills. I'm dealing with this with one of the tenants in one of my places in Canada, actually, where she started having these sorts of financial issues. I was like, okay, you know what, we'll work on a payment plan, this or that. But a year later, and she's still having the same issues. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but as a landlord, it's, I have to put my foot down and, proceed. I'm not suing her, that's for sure. But, we're going forward in different avenues and stuff like that. And so, it sucks, when people are in that position. But I don't think that Kandi is in that sort of a position. I don't think that Kandi is strapped for cash. Kandi is rich. She's very, very rich, right? So it looks like a lot of you guys feel the same way, that Kandi's not broke. A lot of y'all seem to think that this might be a Todd thing. You know what? Should I try and see what Mama Joyce is up to? Do you think that Mama Joyce would like to come on here and clear the air about what's going on behind the scenes or something like that? Cal says that Kandi's not a great businesswoman. Anyone can open businesses. Can you run it? That's the question. Ow! But she's had some great businesses. For example, the theater stuff that she's doing, the most recent play that she's working on, it's a Tony darling right now. It looks like it's going to be winning Tony Awards. Denzel Washington is involved in the play and everything like that. And I believe that she's had other businesses as well, whose names kind of escape me at the moment. But I always saw her as a good businesswoman. But maybe I was wrong, Cal. I don't know. Can you guys help me? What other businesses does Kandi have? I know she has real estate investments, right? I know that she has a publishing business as a songwriter. I know that she invests in other things, portfolios and stuff like that. I don't know. You know what? Now that you bring that up, Cal, I don't know, right? I don't know. I'm wondering what's going on with Kandi, and I'm disappointed. So the back rent was a scheme, right? That's what it seems like. Okay, so listen, y'all seem to think that this is a Todd problem. But here's another thing. That's what I don't love about her like relationship with Todd, is that it felt like Todd came in this like, how can we make money together, versus, oh, this is a woman who already makes a lot of good money on her own. I need to be like a man that like, makes good money on my own and this and that, because he's a producer and he was working on different shows. But it felt like he was seeing this relationship as like a marketing opportunity to help him make money as well, more of a business relationship and deal. And so was Kandi ever really passionate about these restaurants and stuff, or was that something that Todd brought around? Because as far as I recall from the show, it felt like this was more of a dream of Todd's. And, it makes me sad because these are the only things right now that are dragging down Kandi's name. And I feel like they are Todd-centric things, but I could be wrong. I'm going to continue to see what you guys have to say about it. Okay, you guys. So yeah, let me know what you think about all of this. And I'm still rather curious about it, right? And I'm the same way, Nakia. I do remember Tamar Braxton, I think it was only about 2.5 weeks ago or so, when she went on Instagram unprovoked and started talking trash about Kandi's restaurant. And mind you, Kandi has never been anything but nice to Tamar. In fact, Kandi and her group, they even invited Tamar to like open for them, like while they were touring and stuff. So there it goes again, like where Kandi does nice things for people, and then these people, they go and like insult her and trash her. And it's weird to me the way that people want for her restaurants and her business in general to just fail. And I really can't stand that, right? Farah says that Kandi's always been good with her business. Sounds like someone else dropped the ball, right? I'm thinking that that's what it is. Maybe it's a bad financial advisor, like Kayla is saying as well, right? Boss Lady says, I heard Todd is the one supposed to manage the restaurants, right? Because he needed a job so that Kandi's mom would stop talking ish. Well, you know what, Todd? We're going to have to look into you and see what the heck was going on there, because you know what? You're ruining my girl's name. And I do not want for Kandi's legacy to be destroyed by this man, right? It's not cool. It isn't. And thank you, sweet petite. It's true. She does have that line of adult toys and stuff. That was like one of her big things. And I think it led to one of the funniest moments in RHOA reunions. Remember when Nene was like, I don't want a dildo. I don't care if I was in the pool. Like in my past, that doesn't mean I want a dildo today. That was so damn funny. You know what? Best of luck to you, Kandi. I really like you and I want the best for you. She seems like a really good person. And so I hope that all of this can be cleared up relatively soon, relatively quickly, and that it doesn't mess with her play that she's got going on. The play, to me right now, is like the primary focus. I want it to go ahead. I want her and the cast to win their Tony Awards. And so I really, really hope that all of this mess can be taken care of. By the way, welcome, Jules. Thank you so much for joining my channel membership. And Crème Brûlée, I'm happy that you're here because, the story that you wanted to talk about yesterday, the Jurnee Smollett story, I've got that on the docket for today, okay? So stay tuned for that. Now, you guys, why don't we get into our next story? Our next story is about another Real Housewives of Atlanta star, none other than Miss Kenya Summer Moore. So Miss Kenya Summer Moore was the second ever Black Miss USA, as she, will never let you forget, Miss USA, not Miss America, okay? And, she is a mother now to her daughter, Brooklyn. I believe she was like 50 years old when she had her daughter, Brooklyn, right? This has been like a lifelong dream of Kenya's to be a mom. And so, you just see how much joy and pleasure she's taking in her new role. And so you've got this, a series of videos, actually 3 videos of her doing a presentation for Brooklyn School about her making history as the second ever Black Miss USA, and I want to share it with you. So if you're watching live, please continue leaving your comments in the live chat. I'll definitely play them on the screen, and if you're watching the playback posse, feel free to leave your comments as you watch as well, okay? So this is Kenya doing a presentation at her daughter's school, and oh, is it ever
Can you say hi, Queen? Hi, Queen! And to the boys in here, can you say hi, Kings? Hi, Kings! Yes, because we are all kings and queens. Right? So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Kenya, and I'm Brooklyn's mommy. And I know a lot of you from 3K and 4K when I came to your school. And I had such a good time talking to you about myself, a subject that I absolutely love. So I'm here today to talk about being the second Black woman to ever be crowned Miss USA. competed with a lot of people around the USA. I'm from Michigan. I didn't know I had this in here, but I won Miss Michigan in a lot of pageants. And no, you don't want to be Miss Michigan? Okay, you don't have to be.
Maybe someone else might want to be Miss Michigan.
Yes. Oh, you want to be Miss USA? You want to be a daughter? Okay, you don't want to wear it? Okay, I'll wear it. See, I will happily wear it again. So when I was competing in pageants, one things that we had to be when we were competing is smart. We had to be kind, and we had to recognize everyone for all of their accomplishments. Even though I was Black, sometimes people would think around the world that Black wasn't beautiful. Can you imagine that?
That would be crazy.
That is crazy. But so many Black women never were recognized for their beauty because we have brown skin and we had curly hair, we had other features that were not like everyone else's. So they said, oh, they're not really beautiful. But guess what? I worked really hard and I stayed in school and I competed and I talked about how important it was to be smart and to be kind and to be a person that can change the world and the perception of what people think about you. It's not what they say, it's who you are on the inside. And I think by winning Miss USA, I began to change the perception, at least I think so, of what people thought was beautiful in our world. Brown skin was beautiful. Can we say brown skin is beautiful?
Brown skin is beautiful.
Black is beautiful.
Black is beautiful.
So from then on, I was crowned Miss USA. And I spread the world a word about how.
Wow, how adorable was that? My favorite part was when she was like, can you believe that back then people didn't think that brown skin was beautiful? And one of the kids goes, that would be crazy. This was such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful interaction between her and her daughter's classmates as well. Like that was just so damn special. I loved it. And I think that she did a fantastic job going over there and not only talking about her win, but talking about the impact of the win. And like Ashley says, reminding them in the room as well that they too are beautiful, that they are kings and queens and princes and princesses or whatever they'd like to think of themselves as, like royally speaking and stuff. And so I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was so damn sweet. And so, kudos to her for going over there. Listen, children are a tough crowd, right? They do not have filters. So if they don't like anything or whatever, like they will let you know, right? Like if they didn't think she was cute, they would let her know. Listen, how the hell did you win USA, right? But lucky for Kenya, she does have an undeniable beauty. So there were no such comments. So yeah, it was really, really special. So shout out to her for that and kudos to her. And I'm glad that she was able to bring them all in on the message there. So, that was really, really, really special. Listening and Giggling says, this is the lane Kenya should permanently reside in. So good to see her in this light, right? Like, wouldn't it be great for her to do all sorts of tours across schools and stuff like that? Maybe she could even launch, how Cynthia had her like agency, the Bailey agency. Maybe Kenya can launch some sort of like self-esteem boot camps or something like that. Maybe she can launch etiquette schools or whatever, because she is a very, very elegant woman. She's got fantastic posture. She's, she gives a speech like nobody else, right? So these are really great skills that I think, children should look into gaining. And I think like that would be a great business for her as well, right? How great would that be? Good morning to you, Brittany. And I'm glad you're enjoying the new album. I heard her talking about part 2 of Telephone. And I said, listen, don't piss off Beyonce now. Does she want you talking about part 2? Am I supposed to know? Abby says, I don't care who doesn't like her on the show. My stepsister was the most beautiful person on the planet. And she thought she was ugly because she was dark skinned. Oh, I love this. And see, like these sorts of messages are so important, especially when you're young, right? So I agree with that. Tadisha says, Kenya is the villain of our HOA, but I always hear shares it. And I've always heard the same thing. In fact, there's another person who has a similar reputation, and it's none other than Farrah from Teen Mom. On the show, she's a nightmare. She's hell on wheels, but apparently that's just a character that she's playing, and that in real life, she's a lot more pleasant than that. I did see some comments from the Kandi story that I wanted to get back to before we proceeded to the next story, okay? So the first one was from you, Cal. Cal said maybe Kandi needs to focus, jack of all trades, master of none. And I do kind of agree with that, to be honest with you. I still don't get the association with the restaurants and stuff like that. I think she's more of an artistic girly, I should say, or a woman. So I think she should stick more within that kind of like lane. I feel like the restaurants are mainly just Todd trying to use her name to open up businesses that are more so his dream. But East Awesome says Todd gets a bad rap. He had a good job and went through hell with that mother-in-law. He diversified Kandi's business, and it's normal for restaurants to shut down. And I do agree that Mama Joyce was very harsh with him because, you know, she is Kandi's number one gold digger and she doesn't want anyone else in Kandi's pockets. However, I still do think that he is doing some of these things out of his own interest versus what is good for Kandi's particular brand. Because in my opinion, these restaurants are the only things that have been putting a dent or a ding in Kandi's brand so far. This is not the only restaurant that had issues. There was also Old Lady Gang restaurant. Wasn't there a shooting at the restaurant and stuff like that? Like that one was not good for her reputation either. Although I like the ambition and stuff, and I do agree that he had a good job. Yeah, I don't love this in particular. But I am happy about him doing the plays with her. Ashley says, when I grew up in New Jersey, we always had motivational speakers for the kids. I grew up the only white girl in a predominantly Black/Hispanic Middle Eastern city. This stuff is needed desperately, and it also helps so much with inclusion, right? And I do remember that from school too. It wasn't like this type of stuff about like race or anything like that, but it was like motivational speakers or speeches about like your career and just other things like that, and not to do drugs, not to smoke, not to drink and drive, this sort of stuff. And then there was one for like little people as well, to like educate us on like proper terminology, just things like that, like differences. Like, oh, there was one that I actually really, really enjoyed. It was about, we had people who were blind and they were deaf and they were mute as well. So we were learning so much about like what life is like when you have these sorts of conditions and stuff, and how they communicate. And so we were tasked with like a scavenger hunt. And so it was groups of us paired with people who, from this society, right, who were blind, who were deaf, and who were also mute. And so it was really, really just like, wow, eye-opening to how challenging communicating and just navigating the world really is when you have, when you've been cut off from so many senses and stuff. And I think that empathy and differences and stuff like that are things that children really need to understand, because doesn't the old adage go that children are kind of like inherently sociopathic? Like they don't really have empathy because, you're growing up, right, with your parents and everybody just doting on you and fawning over you, right, as they should. So you don't have that chip developed yet because it's not yet your turn to worry about other people. So yeah, I really, really do love this sort of thing for the kids. So you know what? I would love to see Kenya continue with this. I think it would be absolutely beautiful, right? It's the truth. The truth hurts, but it's the truth. And hey, JJ, nice to see you. Good morning to everybody who is tuning in to the Morning Report. We go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about the day's hottest stories. This is our last episode for the week, but we'll be back Monday through Friday of next week. Same time, okay? So I haven't programmed them yet, but stay tuned. They'll be up on my channel very soon. We do have a couple more stories to talk about. Shout out to Creme for our next story. It's about Jurnee Smollett. Her ex-husband wanting half of her retirement. Mind you, these people divorced like 4 years ago, and here he comes crawling for more money after already receiving almost $1 million. Then we also have to talk about Janelle Evans. According to her ex-boyfriend, August, Jenelle used to allow her son, Jace, to drive her around as her designated driver when she was drunk and high. Listen, the dispute, the drama between her and this man just is never ending, especially for a relationship that didn't even last that long. I still think it's crazy that this man was even so involved with her children and stuff, right? But this is what happens. This is what happens. Do you believe him, by the way? We've got a word from some sponsors, and then we'll come back on the flip side with those two stories, okay, you guys? And if you're enjoying this episode of The Morning Report, don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up. You know me, I need to get a drink of water. The Morning Report is brought to you by Philo. Watch your favorite shows and movies from over 70 different channels, including MTV, TLC, WeTV, and more for only $28 a month. Get a free trial today by clicking the link in the description box of this video to get your free trial up and running. Are you looking for the perfect skincare products for women over 30? Look no further than Rothia. Rothia is a skincare brand born from love and made for parents. Their flagship product, the Resilience Cream, delivers clinically proven age prevention benefits such as average 14% wrinkle reduction after 4 weeks of use. Click the link below and receive 30% off your first purchase today. You guys, it looks like you've got a lot to say about the Janelle story, and I'm really, really excited about that. And I'm kind of with you, Nakia. Like, you know what? It seems it's crazy, but because this is Janelle, it's pretty believable because she's got a really, really, really bad track record. And I kind of feel like Simone. My question is, if they're both violating it, can either of them go running to the courts complaining about the other one violating it if they're both out here in these streets selling stories to the press? Like, they are just a damn mess. They truly, truly are. And thank you so much, Kristen. That's so nice. Thank you. So why don't we get into the story, you guys, okay? Oh, Lord have mercy, y'all. I'm still so shook about this entire ordeal. This is the messiest breakup she's had. In fact, I do have to tell you guys something, and it's that I'm surprised that her breakup with David Eaton was not this messy. We knew that David was somebody who was so hateful, so jealous, and he has no reputation at all, right? To uphold, no business, no nothing. August at least claims to be some sort of like celebrity manager. So the fact that this guy with his alleged celebrity clients and whatnot as a manager, he can go around, sell all of these stories without shame or anything like that. Whereas David, who's got nothing and could truly use the money, he was living in a boat before he got, rehomed or rescued by that latest girlfriend. And David hasn't said anything. And David has known Janelle for far longer in a far more intimate way. They were married for like 6 years. There's so much that he could say about this woman, but he hasn't said anything or much of anything. He did say a little, bit here and there, but not much, especially not compared to this man. And I think that that's really fascinating. I don't know if that jumps out at anybody else either. But basically, August went on TikTok, and the video's since been deleted. I tried to go and find it. So shout out to the Ashley's Reality Roundup for this recap. So he went on TikTok, and he claimed that Janelle once made her 15-year-old son, Jace, drive her to his house in the middle of the night because Janelle was allegedly too drunk and high to drive herself. Mind you, Jace does not have a driver's license, and Jace does not have a learner's permit. Quote, "How about you tell people the truth? How you were so drunk and high that you made Jace drive you to my house at 4 a.m., 45 minutes away, and he bragged to me about doing 120 miles per hour the whole way to my house while you laughed." Apparently, when they got there, Janelle broke the frames off of his door. And I'm floored by it. This is very consistent with what he's been claiming about her in all of the stories that he's been, selling to the OK Magazine. So it feels like this is very much his truth, right? Or at least the narrative that he wants to stick with. And when it comes to Janelle, I think that this was her primary storyline for several years on the show, was that she had various drug addictions, right? There was a marijuana addiction, there was a heroin addiction, these sorts of things. I don't remember ever getting the vibe or this being a storyline of hers that she had an alcohol problem. But apparently, according to August, September, spring, summer, that is the case. So I don't know. And Jessica says that David can't talk yet, but once the divorce is final, he'll be spilling that tea. Okay, we'll have to wait and see. I hope he comes spilling that tea, because I feel like he knows the good stuff. Because August and Janelle, they dated for a couple months. David and Janelle were married 6 years, and they dated for another 1.5 to 2 years before that. So this is this is big. And I know that she and August, like, they had a manager relationship. Maybe they were casually hooking up, but I feel like because of the manager relationship, maybe, or at least I would hope, that she knew better than to give too many details like on that level, because it's just not professional, right? So I don't know. And it looks like you guys think that he is in violation of his restraining order. So you know what I'm going to have to go ahead and do? I'm going to have to go take a look at that, because I don't remember the terms of it, and see what's going on. Because, you know, like I said in Thursday's, or maybe it was Wednesday's episode of the Morning Report, but he has been going on like this is like the 6th story in like 2 weeks. Like, it's a lot. He has been blabbing, right? Jaleesa says that she feels like David was just done. Steph says, I feel like she was forced to leave David, so it was more amicable, right? Houston says she believes that Jenelle is a hot mess. Listen, I agree. I believe it too. I think anything's possible when it comes to this woman, right? And I think that the things that are actually real in the way that she's parented these children are probably even worse than what we can imagine. Sad enough to say. So August is now bragging in the same article about how much Janelle's kids love him. And again, why was he even involved with the children? The two of them were only dating for a couple of months. Why is everybody that she dates involved with her children, right? Remember, he was talking about how he was the one who would have to go and do the parent-teacher interviews for some of these kids, because he says Jenelle was too high, couldn't be bothered. He says that he's the one that had to drive Jace to the hospital when he had a hand injury, because Jenelle didn't want to deal with it. She was too high, too drunk all the time to go ahead and deal with it. So, like, this is a very, very persistent narrative that he has. And I do remember a lot of people would point out how, you know, it's terrible as of a person that David is. He was the one who was primarily doing certain activities with the kids, right? You didn't really see Jenelle having the kids out, like, you know, for example, for like day activities and sports and stuff like that. Not sports, but like going on the boat, doing these sorts of things. That was like David's passion, right? And when she would be showing the roadkill or whatever, like, you know, nasty things they'd be eating, it was mainly David cooking that stuff. So it really feels as though that might be the case with Jenelle, that she just doesn't really want to handle this sort of stuff. She always pawns it off on whoever she's dating at the time. Hey, Rainy, and what a beautiful Louisiana name that is. You know what? This reminds me of what is that called? There's a show, Southern Charm, NOLA. I was in Louisiana, NOLA, in 2019, and I binged that show like crazy. And I remember one of the girls I loved, her daughter's name was Rainy, and I thought it was like the most beautiful name. So, wow, so cool. And you're from Louisiana as well. Really, really cool. I love NOLA. Meg says, didn't Dave break her collarbone or something, right? She said he did, then she said he didn't, and then she said that he did again. So it is just all such a big mess. And it's like Kayla said, she's always bouncing from relationship to relationship. And I do agree. You guys all make such good points. I agree with Boss Lady as well, in that he is suspicious as well, because what are you even doing with this type of girl? You're supposed to be a professional man who manages all these celebrities who are winning Grammys and stuff. And yet this is who you choose to link up with, knowing all that you know about her as her manager, meaning that you are reading all of these articles about her and you're trying to mitigate the bad press that she has constantly been getting for the past like decade. There's something that's not okay there. And it's similar to Andrew. Do y'all remember when Andrew was working on the set of Marriage Boot Camp, he saw Amber, and Amber was at her worst on Marriage Boot Camp. She was off. She was terrible. She was a nightmare. Like, she was not okay. So he saw this in person and said, you know what? I'm gonna knock you up in 2 weeks. And he knocked her up in 2 weeks. These people are not okay either. Like, they're just all of these people are nuts. Ramsey says a manager of the stars hooking up with, yeah, right? It doesn't make sense. They're all weird. They're all off. And they're all just, you know, ugh, get them away from me. Go away from me with this, Apollo. Now let's get into the Jurnee story. By the way, can I ask you guys, what is the deal with this family? I always thought that they were like some sort of French. Like, you know, French were, you know, like I thought that they were from Martinique. I thought they were from Guadeloupe. I thought they were from Haiti. Something, because their names to me seem so French, you know? So where are they from? What's the deal? There's Jurnee, and then there's Jessie, and then there's somebody else. To me, these names, like, I thought they were supposed to be French names or something like that. So I was shocked when I found out that their last name was Smollett. I was like, really? It's not Smollett? Like, what? Because I thought Jurnee was Jurnee. I thought Jessie was Juicy. Oh my God. And I was supposed to look this up before filming this because I'm so fascinated by this. So if any of you guys are fans of Jurnee or her brother Jesse, let me know. But anyway, for now, we'll get into the story about her marriage. Shout out to you, Kambule, for the story, by the way. And I did bookmark a comment that somebody left here, Kristen, and I'm going to get to it at the end of the story as well. And I did have a bookmark comment from East Awesome as well. So basically, what went down in Jurnee's life right now, God bless her, is that she was married to her longtime husband, not husband, but boyfriend and partner. They were dating for a while before they got married. Then they were married for 10 years as well. And so according to reports, Jurnee already had to pay him over almost $1 million. And in addition to that, she pays him $7,000 a month in child support. Apparently, that's not enough for her ex, Josiah Bell, because despite the fact that their divorce was finalized 4 years ago, back in 2021, he is demanding all of a sudden half of her retirement savings, suggesting that her 401k and her pension are community property. Jurnee has been acting like her whole life, right? Since the age of 5 years old. And she has had her 401k and her SEG pension since she was about 3 years old. So there's a lot of money there, y'all. A lot of money that this man wants to get his hands on. I personally feel like, and it is a double standard. It is. It might be. There's something so icky to me about a man trying to run a woman's pockets. I'm sorry, but you should be building houses. You should be going off to war. Like, leave her money alone. She already paid you almost $1 million. And then on top of that, you're getting $7,000 a month in child support. Why do you need to go and take over like half of whatever else she's got? Because at the end of the day, and I think this is where the difference comes to me, women are always, especially like when kids are involved, women are making the bigger sacrifice and contribution in a relationship and in a marriage, right? So she had the children, right? That is time that she took off of her acting career that she will never get back. That impacted her future earnings already. And on top of that, the stress, the damage, the effects, whatever, on your body, the potential postpartum, all that stuff. These are things that men will never have to go through and deal with. And I think that these things are priceless, so that's why I don't see it the same way. If a woman walks away with a settlement versus a man, a man is not risking his life through childbirth. So just get your own, like, you got so much money out of her. So I'm icked out by this. I really, really am. I can't. I'm like, really? You got so much money. Go make the rest of the money for yourself. But you guys might feel differently. So let me see what y'all have to go ahead and say in the comments. Brian says, why did you? It's because of their names. Their names are so unusual. Her name is Jurnee, but it's not spelt like Journey. It's Jurnee. I don't know. And then the last name, and then Juicy as well. I don't know. It just looks like French names to me. They don't look like typical like American names. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just got that vibe. I have Princess Tia. Boss Lady thought the same thing, and Boss Lady's Haitian, right? It's just, yeah. They're very. I don't know. It's giving. Maybe not French France, but maybe the islands. Trey says their dad is Jewish and their mom is African American. So that makes me even more confused. Where did these come from? I don't know. Theo says that he remembers Jurnee from Full House. And wasn't she adorable too? It's crazy how many big stars were on Full House. I believe that TJ Henderson, what's his real name? This is the Maury twin, Taj Maury. He was on Full House. There's somebody else who was on Full House who became a really big star as well. And I loved Full House. The first celebrities that I ever stand for in my life, rabid stand for, Mary-Kate and Ashley, and then Raven Simone. And then I think Amanda Bynes. I'm a true 90s girl. I truly, truly am. JPI says he's single. Why won't he be with someone else? You don't know what happened in his relationship with his ex, so why judge? Who's this about? because it can't be about this man, because this man is after her money. He can be with whoever he wants. I don't care who he's with, but the money, leave her money alone. You already got enough. Like, move on. East Austin says that man is too pretty to build a house. He looks like a model. Does he? I don't see it, but okay. I'm not saying he's ugly, but I don't see model in him. Gwen says, not a double standard. We always have more on our shoulders. We don't get the appreciation like guys do for getting the bare minimum, right? I agree. So I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm sorry, dude. You need to go get your own damn money. East Austin says you're legally entitled to retirement after 10 years in a U.S. marriage. Jurnee is a child actress. You needed to get a lawyer before you were married. Could someone please show me that husband? There you go. I hope you enjoyed the football. Well, you do. I think you're the one who said he looked like a model. But here's my thing. Like, their divorce was already like finalized 4 years ago. So who just suddenly told this man that he might be entitled to half of her retirement? Like, who the hell was his initial legal team? Because it's crazy to go and double back and try to double dip. To me, case closed. You didn't fight for it. You didn't get it. It's over. So I really do hope that he doesn't get it. To me, come on now, $1 million is already good enough. Go invest that well, work, and you will be set for retirement already. You don't need to go ahead and try and take any more of her money. Now, Kristen wanted to know, speaking of Todd Burruss, or sorry, not Todd Burruss, maybe that answers your question. Speaking of Todd Tucker, is he a Dusty? I personally wouldn't say so. I think he's a hardworking man with, like, and it's hard to compare to the amount of money that Kandi Burruss makes, but I know that her mom thinks he's a Dusty just because he's not rich. And I feel like her mom is just very toxic and wants to protect her own interests, which is, Kandi's money and not Kandi in particular. Allie first stand Hillary Duff. I hated Hillary Duff because I loved Lindsay Lohan and they had that like beef. And so I had to hate Hillary. And so like sometimes I'd be curious about what's going on with Lizzie McGuire, but because I was and I'm loyal, I'm a Scorpio. I don't play about loyalty. So because I was riding with Lindsay so hard, I wouldn't watch it. But if my sister was like watching it, I'd be in the corner like, what's that? And like, I'd like it. I'd be like, let me get out of here before I like it too much. Cause I'm team Lindsay here. Theo used to watch all the American National. Me too. And I was like a psycho. They needed a restraining order against me because I would spend my time studying how to tell them apart. And that's probably one of my like first skills in life that I developed, was how to tell those two apart. So now to me, and it's lasted. This is a skill that has served me my whole life. It's always been so easy for me, sit after studying all of their damn movies and stuff. I was obsessed. They even had that like little show as well on the Disney Channel, I think it was. Obsessed. Court says she's out of his league. Model where Court doesn't agree with you. East awesome. And I agree. What does he do for work? I wonder too, right? What does he do? It's weird. Gwen says, imagine what people would say if a woman got $1 million in a settlement and showed up for more. Right? Women get called greedy for $400 in child support. I agree. And I still think that despite the fact that she made more of the money, I think that, she probably still had to shoulder a lot more of the stuff at the home too, because unfortunately that's typically just how it is in heterosexual relationships, right? So I don't know. I'm not rooting for him. I hope it gets denied. I don't want him to get a single dollar more. In fact, I want the judge to say, you know what? You're greedy AF. You know what? Run her back her coins and stay with a good $2,000. That won't happen, but come on. East says, my mother-in-law went after my father-in-law's retirement pension too. This is normal for older couples. I'm not sure why he's doing it now. Women do this after divorce. Why do they do it after? This is something you should be negotiating like during the divorce, no? Very, very fascinating. And I had something else to say to your comment, but I completely spaced out and forgot what it was. It's sad, but when you get married, you have to arrange your divorce first. Yeah, I agree. I'm team prenup. I don't know if that's a thing here though. Like, you don't really hear people talk about this sort of thing here. Like, because people here typically don't make money like that, like people in the US and Canada, so I don't think they bother with it, because typically people are making like, I don't know, paycheck to paycheck sort of vibes. Even if you've got like a good education and stuff, like the salaries here, you'd be shocked by. If ever you guys, if you guys speak French or Spanish or even Italian or something like that, and you have a TikTok account, go and search something like, and search it in that language. Like, what are the salaries like in this city or in this country? And if you live in the US, if you live in Canada, if you live in England, You're going to be shocked. You're going to be quite shocked. So there's that. And so, Allie says that she always could tell the twins apart. Wow. So you didn't have to develop that talent like me. Must be nice. Must be nice. The only twins that I see nothing in common really are Tia and Tamara. To me, I'm like, are they really identical twins? How are they identical twins, but Mary-Kate and Ashley are not? Because to me, those two, I don't think they look anything alike. Well, I think they look alike, but not like identical twin level, And I remember we used to be dragging my mother report over to Walmart to check out their line. I loved everything about them, right? So voila. Courtney says, get a prenup even if you got nothing. There you go, you guys. Prenups are not bad. They're not bad. Get it. Joy says, you're such a millennial, Grace. You hated Hillary. Yeah, like I was in all the J14, the Tiger Beats, all the magazines reading on the beef. And I thought that Lindsay was a superior actress. And you guys know, I love red hair. Like, I just think that red-headed women, I see them like fairy princesses. So I'd be like, wow, this fairy princess, she's such a talent. And I still feel that way. She's such a talented actress. We must protect her at all costs. I'm not riding with Hillary. Steph says Scorpio. And yes, you know what's funny? My lover, I thought he was a Cancer this whole time. And that's half the reason I started dating him. You can imagine my disappointment, Stephanie, and anybody else who was really into horoscope. When I found out 3-4 months into dating, wait a minute, I did the calculations wrong. This isn't a Cancer. This is a Gemini. And I had always said, I don't do Geminis. But thankfully, this one is like a Cancer. It's more like a Cancer than a Gemini. But sorry to the Gemini community. But this is one sign that I just, male Geminis anyway. I just can't do it. But, I guess I work with this one. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for another morning report. It looks like we are leaving on the note of Gemini slander. So sorry to all of the Geminis who were harmed in the making of this episode. We'll make it up to you next time, okay? And don't worry, Jaleesa, I'm talking about the male Geminis. I just cannot do it. And typically, I can't do it. The ladies, you guys are safe. And you know what? While we're here and I'm signing out and I'm running away, male Virgos as well. I'm sorry if he's awesome. I'm sorry if you guys are Virgos, then you guys are the exceptions. J.I. as well. And any other man who was here for the stream. If you guys are Virgos, or Geminis, you are the exception. But in general, I can't. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for another report. I'll be back live Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And I'll catch you in next week's episode. Okay, you guys, take care. Have a great weekend, by the way. Bye.